Been the guy today, 7 catches, his best game. Here's Barkley, Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley's the guy. He's going to take it. Touchdown from 65.
Wait, now you may be wondering how that one play managed to destroy the entirety of the Saints' future. And it is way more complicating than that one touchdown. However, that touchdown was the start of an even bigger downfall. So to get it started, the Saints were going into the season with not very high expectations. Nobody's expecting them to make the playoffs, to have that many wins, to really be that successful at all, right? Well, when they randomly started winning games for the first 2 weeks of the season, people were confused because not only were they winning those games, they were absolutely dominating them. In week 1 against the Carolina Panthers, people were expecting the Saints to win this. They were at home. Right, they have home field advantage. It's the Panthers, who really weren't that great of a team at the time. Some people were calling them the worst team in the league. So before this game, people were assuming that the Saints, if they didn't blow them out, they would have at least won. And they passed those expectations, obviously, after they won 47-10, which nobody was expecting the Saints to even put up 30 points in this game. However, they did. Things only got better for Saints fans when realizing Derek Carr had a 200-yard and 3-touchdown performance through the air. With only throwing 4 incomplete passes, this had Saints fans excited for the time. And this performance also probably had a few people cutting their starting quarterbacks for Derek Carr in fantasy football, but that's a different story. However, considering the Saints were going next week into Dallas, who just defeated the Browns 33-17, people really weren't expecting the Saints to win this game. Not even just expecting the Saints to lose, but people were honestly thinking the Cowboys were going to blow them out. However, if you are a prominent fan of the NFL, we all know how this game turned out. The Saints ended up blowing the Cowboys out of the water, embarrassing them in front of their home crowd. Alvin Kamara started to look like he was in his prime after a 115-yard performance with 3 touchdowns on the ground. It had Saints fans extremely excited for the future, assuming that their running back wasn't out of his prime. And honestly, Alvin Kamara isn't a bad running back. In my opinion, he's still top 15, if not 10 in the league. And he's really, honestly, one of the only bright spots on the Saints looking forward to this 2025 season. Now, following this 44-19 win over the Dallas Cowboys, Saints fans were excited for Week 3 against the Eagles, who were coming off an upset loss against the Falcons. Now, going into this game, the Eagles had a really big chip on their shoulder. As I already mentioned, the Falcons had just upset them the week before. And this game was really a big defensive standstill, as in the first 3 quarters, only 3 points were scored. And for the Saints, they just needed to keep the lead that they had, which wasn't really a big one, but it's all they really needed to do. Like mentioned, it was a very back-to-back defensive game, and nobody could really find any way to score points until...
Been the guy today, 7 catches, his best game. Here's Barkley, Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley's the guy. He's going to take it. Touchdown from 65.
Now look, this one play might not have won the game at the time. There was still an entire quarter of football left, but looking at the final score of the game, this one play definitely gave the Eagles the momentum to go down the field at the very end and win this game. The Saints went downfield and made a field goal, and then Derek Carr threw Chris Olave, honestly one of the most beautiful touchdowns I've ever seen. And on this 3rd and 16, people assumed the Eagles were going to lose, but Dallas Goedert catches the ball, goes all the way downfield up until the 4-yard line, and the Eagles really took the game with that one play. So with 1 minute and 5 seconds left on 1st and goal, Jalen Hurts just handed the ball to Saquon Barkley, and simple as that, the Eagles were up. Saquon Barkley again got the handoff on this 2-point attempt and again got in, which gave the Eagles a 3-point lead with only a minute to go. And on the next 2nd and 5, Derek Carr tried throwing the ball to Rashid Shaheed, but instead it got picked off by Reed Blankenship, and that basically sealed the game. So the final result of the game was a 15-12 victory for the Eagles, and The Saints did only drop to 2-1, however, following this game, they had a way bigger downfall. In what some people consider one of the most diabolical and unexpected collapses in recent history, the Saints went on to lose the next 6 games and didn't win until they played the Falcons at home in Week 10. The Saints finished this season 5-12, and in the 2025 draft, some people consider them having one of the worst drafts, especially with second-round pick Tyler Shaw. Anyways, the future for the New Orleans Saints isn't completely decided, and they really could prove me wrong. However, with players like Cameron Jordan, Tyrann Mathieu, and Demario Davis all getting pretty old, looking like they're going to retire soon, the future for the Saints is really uncertain, and hopefully for them, best of luck.
Been the guy today, 7 catches, his best game. Here's Barkley, Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley's the guy. He's going to take it. Touchdown from 65.